everybody. This is Harriet Go from the Keystone Chapter, and you're listening to White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the treasurer of the Keystone Chapter. Joining me today is co-host and Keystone Chapter second vice president, Lisa Bryant. Lisa, how are you today?
Doing well, David, doing well, and really enjoyed talking with Harriet. As long as I have known her and been a member of the Keystone Chapter, I've had glimpses into what it's like for her as a teacher. I did not know that she'd been teaching as long as she has. So this was just a great conversation that filled in a lot of blanks for me.
It really was. And it's interesting how she got involved with the Federation in the first place. And I don't know why I would be surprised that it had to do with being lured by sweets. The only question that I didn't ask Harriet is if she took some extra to sell on the side to help her get through school.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy this great conversation with our dear president of the Keystone Chapter, Harriet Go.
Harriet, thanks so much for being with us today.
Hey, David, thanks for having me.
Yeah, Harriet, I feel like this is a little bit of a reunion. You were on around this time last year, but for something else that we'll probably get into later, I Believe You Can fundraiser. But we thought with this being September, back to school, it just seems so fitting to have you on and talk about your life as a teacher, what it has been like, even not just since COVID, but just over the years, the triumphs and challenges that you've had as a teacher. So welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Before we even get into the nuts and bolts of your life as a teacher, some people may not know who you are. That we have people who are not in the Federation. So just a little bit about who is Harriet Go? How long have you been president of the Keystone Chapter?
I was in college, actually shortly graduating high school, and I went to Temple University for college. And my first semester there, I heard about they were doing this a student workshop of some sort. I didn't know what it was. It was at Temple, and I heard about it. It was targeted for people with disabilities. So I thought to myself, oh, let me check it out. And I saw, oh, there's going to be refreshments. So
That's always a deal breaker, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Like me being the sweet tooth lover that I am of desserts, that's what drove me. And there I not knowing at that time, but that presentation was held by actually the Keystone Chapter of the NFB of Pennsylvania, and they were doing a student seminar, and they had speakers there like Jim Antonacci, Lynn Heights, Carrie Sapalo, and other Federationists. And so that was really my first introduction to the NFB. My real in-person introduction. Before that, I had, applied to the National Federation of the Blind National Scholarship Program. That also kind of helped me to learn about them. But that was my real first in-person contact with anybody from the NFB. And after that student seminar, and after I had cookies, and I was like, okay, that was great. See ya, But then I kept getting calls from some guy named Jim Antonacci, and he kept asking me to come to the chapter meeting, come to the Keystone Chapter meeting. And I just blew him off. I guess that's not a secret. I've told him that before, but it was months. No, I'm busy. No, I can't make it. I'm busy with school. And then finally, I think it was towards National Convention was coming up. And so it was like maybe April or May. So the student seminar happened, I would say, early September, late August, probably, of the year before. So come around the next year, it was April-ish, and he's inviting me to the chapter meeting once again, every month, very faithful in calling me. And So I said, oh my gosh, I said to myself, oh my gosh, this guy won't leave me alone. So I said, I'm going to go to this one chapter meeting just to satisfy him. And then I'm going to leave. And then I'm going to carry on with my life. So I went to that chapter meeting. And after that, I never stopped going.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah,
And
I
now,
mean,
when was that about, Harriet? About what year are we
oh
talking?
gosh. We're talking 2002,
Okay.
probably. Yeah, 2002-ish. And so that's really how, I mean, I'm sure I missed a couple chapters, but chapter meetings. But since that point, that spring, Jim just kept talking about the national convention, and I really wanted to go. I really, really thought it was a cool thing to go to. Plus, it was going to be in Kentucky. I'd never been to Kentucky. It's going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, where they have like the what is it, the Derby,
Yeah.
Churchill Downs. That's right. Yeah, and they have the Louisville Slugger Hall of Fame and such things. So I've heard Louisville was a cool city to be in. So Jim did a great job of convincing me, because that was my first convention in Louisville, Kentucky, and just from that point on, I just knew. Well, I didn't know 100%, but I knew that this was an organization that I wanted to be a part of. That I did know that much, and I didn't know what I was going to do, or what and how I was going to contribute, but I knew that I needed to be a part of it, and it just felt like it was like a necessary part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of added to it. It was just an addition to
Yeah.
everything else positive in my life.
Yeah.
So fast forward, the next year I got a National Federation of the Blind National Scholarship. And fast forward a couple more years, and then we come to 2012. I was going to school for my master's, and I applied again for a national scholarship again, and I did earn another one, a second one. And then the following year after that, I was actually nominated for the National Federation of the Blind Teacher of the Year in 2013. Yeah, it was such a cool thing, and
Wow.
it was totally a surprise. Jim didn't tell me, Lynn didn't tell me, nobody told me. So during national convention at the board meeting in 2013, they started talking about this teacher, and she's blind and she does this and that, and I'm like, kind of like, not listening really, and and then they said my name, and I just bolted right up in my seat, like, what? So that was so cool. That was so cool, and I called me up on stage and everything, and I got a beautiful plaque, and it came with a check, which is a very cool thing. So so those are kind of some of the highlights.
When did
Also,
you come to be chapter president? How did that come
I
about?
came to actually 2017. 2017 was when I started being chapter president.
Well, that is very interesting history. I think I knew some of that, but that puts things in context and now helps us understand I guess, what, lack of a better word, the pairing of your commitment to the Federation and how that has helped you progress along the way in your career. Tell us how you even came to want to be a teacher or study education. Why was that something you were drawn to?
Okay, so when I was a little girl, I always played school, and
I did too.
yeah, right. And even though sometimes no one wanted to play with me, like my brothers and sister, I would just play with the dolls. I set them up behind, cardboard boxes, and those are the desks, and
I did the same thing.
and I had the little kitty chalkboard, the I don't know, the 1 foot by 2 foot chalkboard, and I was just teaching my stuffed animals. I mean, I think that was the beginnings of it, but I didn't know that that's what I wanted to be until I reflected back on my life. The other half of that was I really did have a lot of good teachers in my life. Maybe not a lot, but a few really, really strong positive influences of teachers. Yes, role models who really invested the love of learning in me, and they were so they took an interest in me, and not only did they help me to really love learning, but they also helped me to develop as a character. And those personal characteristics, they go beyond the school day. The math and reading might end at when the bell rings, but the personal characteristics that they help me to develop, as well as my fellow classmates, they last a lifetime if they are cultivated and nourished upon. They really do stick with you for the rest of your life. And I always saw that, and that's one of the things that really inspired me, is I had really great role models, and I thought the best way that I could do that for someone else is to become a teacher myself.
Were you in a regular school when you went through school? Was it a school for the blind or a regular school?
No, actually, it was a school for the blind. It's called St. Lucie Day School for Children with Visual Impairments, who we are very familiar with. I went there from preschool all the way to 8th grade. I was mainstreamed starting in 3rd grade. So, I had one class with my regular ed peers, the sighted regular ed peers, and all the way up to 8th grade, I gradually increased the number of classes that I took with the regular ed students. So by the time I was in 8th grade, I pretty much spent my whole day in a regular classroom with my sighted peers. With the exception of like O&M skills and tech, which I still took those classes at St. Lucie's because they were very specialized classes. So yeah, that was until 8th grade. And then after 8th grade, I went to a regular public high school. In fact, I went to Central High School, which is part of the school district of Philadelphia, which I work for now, which is also like the premier public high school in Philadelphia.
Lisa, I like how she says tech. When you and I went to school, tech was probably an electric typewriter, right?
Yeah. You wanted to pay it forward. That's really interesting.
I did.
And did you always know that would mean, because I'm assuming you were elementary education was your primary focus, right?
I am, yeah, yes. I majored in elementary and special education when I went to Temple.
And you wanted to do that age, why?
Because teenagers are just hard-headed. No, I'm kidding. What they are. No, I really like that age group, and I like the idea of setting the foundation for my kids.
Yeah.
I like that, setting that up academically, but also personally in their behavior. And when I say behavior, I mean like characteristics and who they are as a person, how they see themselves as people. I like to help set that up. The later in life, the harder it is to help anybody really to learn new tricks, I guess. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
So I like that age group because I think that it's a great spot. They're independent enough to be able to understand the world around them, and even though they need some hand holding, they're not totally independent yet. So I like that combination of them kind of needing you, but also they're blossoming. I just love that. That's truly it. It's like they're blossoming out of their shells, they're learning to become who they are, and they're just so curious and excited about the world around them. And I just love that energy and enthusiasm, and I think that also keeps me going and keeps me young. It keeps me young and energized.
So I want to take you back to your first day of your first teaching job. What was that like?
Oh my gosh, I cried.
Cried because you were so happy, so nervous?
It was a little bit of both. So my first day actually was staff meetings. So it was just like, it's great. It was great to get to know all the other people in my building and see all the teachers that I would be working with, and everyone was so friendly. And everyone was, if you need any help, let me know. If you need X, Y, and Z, I love that. I mean, I loved coming into that and just knowing that there was that support system. But the first day with the kids, I was very, very nervous. I was super nervous, and I remember planning and like all night or the weekend before, and I was just like, I hope this goes well. I hope, but I was also excited too. I was also excited. It was great to like finally see everything that I was working towards. Like that was the culmination of all my teaching, my undergraduate learning career. So it was like, this is it. Like, this is your real classes. You're not student teaching. You're not doing a placement observation. These are your kids. You have all these little, little people to be in charge of and make sure they learn and that they're safe. And, so it was great. Like, and everything went fine. The most important thing, though, I learned from that first day was, kids really want to know who you are. So I got a lot of questions about, what is that stick you're using? Or what are those dots? Or what's that? Why is your computer sound funny? Like things like that. So, like I actually didn't have that on my plan the first day. I didn't even think about that. I was just going to go in there, yada, 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 go over the routines, procedures, do some icebreakers, start some math, start some reading, but they kind of, they led me to that discussion. So ever since then, I've always made that part about, getting to know who your teacher is always a part of my first day routines.
I guess because you've always been blind, it's not top of mind for you that, that's how you have to kind of introduce yourself because that's the way your life has been. But these children, this was probably their first encounter with a blind person. But so it sounds like they received you well. They were just curious.
Yes, they did. They were very curious, and they wanted to know, like, what do you use this cane for? And, how did I do it? And, so I took that as a learning opportunity to, really just engage and let them know. And I was nervous too. I was nervous about talking about myself because I'd worked with kids before in the past, but this was kind of something they initiated, they initiated. So I just kind of like let them ask questions and see where it went from there, and, some kids were, very receptive, and some kids were still like, I don't know, like, because I could tell like through the year they were trying to do stuff that they thought they could pull the wool over my eyes, but I've learned that that's just kids. They're gonna test you whether you're blind or not. They're gonna test you. And I don't want to be a teacher, the kind of teacher that forces respect on kids by making them scared.
Right.
I think it's important to show kids that you're vulnerable too, and you're not this perfect person. And, other than like my blindness, even, that, not that defines perfectness or not, but that is one of the things that is part of me. And I, tell them about other parts of my life too. I show them pictures of my family and talk about my pet and, what books and movies I like. So I show them that, I'm blind, but I'm also a person too. And I think that's the key point.
Have you ever had blind kids in your class or not yet?
Oh, that's a great question. I have taught blind kids in the National Federation of the Blind BELL program. BELL stands for Braille Enrichment for Literacy and Learning, and it's usually a 2-week summer day camp program focused on enhancing students who are blind and visually impaired, enhancing their Braille literacy skills in particular, but also we work on technology and travel and non-visual skills. So yes, in that capacity, yes, I've worked with blind students before, but not in my formal career, no.
So the kids come in and they see, okay, hey, I've got a blind teacher. When you have to call a parent because Jimmy isn't doing something or is doing something he shouldn't be doing, and the parent finds out that you're blind, is there any kind of pushback at all with that?
That's a great question. And I've gotten that question before from various people in my life, but here's the truth. I have never had any pushback from a parent that said, "Oh, you're blind. How are you going to do X, Y, and Z?" I've never had that, and I'm so thankful that that's never happened. Not because I don't know how to answer them, but because it also demonstrates that the parents trust me. Um, now, if they've had that behind my back to the principal or to an administrator, I don't know, but no parents up until this point. This is I just finished my 7th, so this is my 18th year of teaching.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I can't. It doesn't even seem that long, but no, I've never had any parent or caregiver come to me directly and ask me or doubt my teaching skills because of my blindness, and I'm very thankful for that.
I hope I didn't just jinx you.
No. I mean, the beginning of the school year already passed, so I'm into my 2nd year of school this year already.
And what grade are you teaching again?
So this year I teach kindergarten through 3rd grade students with learning disabilities.
That's great that, relatively speaking, you haven't had too many bumps along the road with the students or the parents. But tell us, what has it been like in terms of any challenges that you've had, just over the course of the years, over these 18 years of getting what you need to, effectively be a teacher?
I really appreciate that question, Lisa, because I don't want to give off the impression that this is an easy job. I mean, that is far from the truth in all aspects of the imagination.
Right. And that goes for sighted teachers and blind.
That goes right. I mean, I don't think blindness, is a huge issue, but it definitely is a key player. It is something of a huge consideration for me, and I'm sure for other people who are either teaching or want to get into teaching. I'm going to start back a little bit, if I could rewind, to my student teaching placement. This was during my last year at Temple, and so the last semester was our student teaching placement, and I was placed in a regular education 4th grade class, which I thought at the time was like, oh, that's ideal. It's like the happy middle. It's like, they're not babies, but they're not teens yet, So I was like so excited, and I was placed in a school right in Center City, which is great because I take the bus. It was actually a really, really tough semester. Because when I got to the school to meet my co-op teacher, and the principal at the school, I met them before, the Temple our semester had started, and they basically communicated to me that they didn't know that the university was going to send them a blind student teacher, and that they should have warned the school that I was coming and that I was blind, and a lot of resent, like how could they do that? How could they send us a student teacher who's blind? So they actually called my university. They called the department head of the student teaching placement, and they essentially said that they wanted me to be pulled out of the student teaching. Yeah, they didn't think that I should do it or could do it because of my blindness, and without even knowing me or getting to talk to me in detail and have a discussion, they just immediately called Temple and told them to I don't know if they told me to take me out of the school or to put me somewhere else, but they just basically said they didn't want a blind student teacher in their school. So that was the first huge bump, and I mean like huge, like for someone
Right.
who's like 21 years old, um, and that is my first real professional professional encounter with discrimination, like
Yeah.
true discrimination. Not just like because this was my career that I was preparing for, and this was the first stumbling block.
Did you have your thoughts about maybe this is not for me, maybe I can't do this?
No, actually, no, I never thought about that.
Good.
I always thought I'm gonna figure this out. You know the saying, and here's one for you. Where there's a will, there's a way. You know that one, right?
Yeah.
I do too. I knew that one too. So, yeah, no, I never thought of, oh gosh, I've got to find another major and, you know, uh, and backtrack and, not do this. I never thought that. And, you know, now, looking back at it as, years ago, um, it was good. It was not the experience was good, but it was good in the sense that I got that experience early. It was good that I got it when I was still a kid, um, in training, and that kind of helped me to develop a tougher core,
Yeah.
and to kind of like bring me to reality, like this could happen again, and it also made me stronger too. I had a lot of tears during that semester.
So you stayed at that school. So
I
you
did.
did finish the term there. Okay.
I did finish the term there. I got out by the, what is it called? The teeth of my skin of my
Skin of your
teeth.
teeth, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not with the kid, but with the adults, because the principal had placed that impression on my co-op teacher, and my co-op teacher had transferred that impression to other colleagues in the school. So, yeah, no, I mean, it was great with the teaching part. The teaching part was where I really kind of honed in on how am I going to teach this or do this or handle this as a blind person. Those aspects that really helped, because that's what it's supposed to be. The student teaching portion is supposed to be like your lab. Like scientists have labs. This is the lab for teachers. This is where you're doing your experimenting. So that all was great. The experience was not great, but what it taught me was great. So after that experience, there was nothing as huge as that going forward. But my primary reading medium is Braille, and I learned Braille when I was 6 years old. So I think I'm pretty good at Braille, and I really am a visual learner, which means I need to see with my hands. So when I got my first real classroom and my first, real job, where I'm actually getting paid, one of the things that I requested of the school district is my teacher curriculum books to be in Braille, screen reader software for my computer, a Perkins Braille writer at the time, and so those were the accommodations that I started out with, and a reader. A reader is a live sighted person who helps me navigate print medium, like flyers, notes in my mailbox, things like that, and student work like that. So that's also not been a piece of cake either. The district tends to drag their feet, and it wasn't until the second year of my teaching that I actually got the software that I needed for my computer. The Braille books came a little later, and every time they change the curriculum, I need, an updated version of the Braille copy. So,
So talk about how you had to figure out your own workarounds.
So I just brought in my own laptop from home and used my personal laptop with my software on it, and did did what I needed to do, and they did provide me with a reader, which they call a 504 person. So 504 relates to, you know, the Rehab Act, the Section 504. So they call it a 504 person. And that's been a huge benefit, because the person that is my 504 assistant helps with reading student work, helping me to navigate what's in the printed copies of the teachers' manuals. If I get notes from parents that are handwritten, obviously that's something you can't scan into the computer or anything, and so that person would help me read those kind of things like that.
And so you still have one of those folks today with you?
I do, yeah,
Okay.
I do.
So I've heard you talk about spending late nights brailing materials.
Yes.
So
yes.
how are you doing that at home without, you know, that 504 person?
A lot of times I will ask a family member or
Okay.
some of my close friends and people from church that I know to help me
Okay.
dictate things
Okay.
from the books, and I'll braille them out depending on what I need, and it's always, you know, shorthanded version, because I'm not going to braille out everything word for word. But you know the cool thing about doing that is that technology has come such a long way, and you know, there's always remote sighted assistants that you can use now, like Ira or Be My Eyes and things like that, that I definitely make use of. And you know, it's great, because like I could take a picture and be like, hey, can you read this to me, you know, or can you take a picture of something and say, could you describe what the worksheet is about? And technology has also really improved. Like, a lot of curriculum now are online, and I can access that online, so they don't really need as much live sighted assistance as I did before. And I'm not to say that they're not important, obviously, but you know, with things being moving so quickly towards the digital world, like almost everything is on the website, or like we have access to it as teachers. Like, the publishers will give teachers access to the electronic component. So that's been a huge plus, a huge benefit to have those online, because then it's accessible to everybody.
Yeah. You know, Harriet, I'm listening to how tenacious you've been, and you were talking before about character building from your, you know, days as a young student at St. Lucy's. And I think without even knowing, you probably are also passing that forward on to your students. So good for you, and just not letting this thing kind of kick you down. Which leads me to another question I have for you, because you do have so much experience. You know, challenges challenges are just as much a part of that kind of character building as, you know, the victories are. Have you been able to sort of mentor anyone else in, you know, in the education field, and maybe another blind student who's even thinking of becoming a teacher?
Thank you for the compliments about being tenacious and stuff. No, really, I do, like, because all my students have learning disabilities or attention deficits disorders. So I really do, like, I want them to know that just because they have a disability or a different way of learning doesn't mean that they can't learn. So
Right.
I'm really hoping to be that role model that I once had as a student. Yeah, so in the NFB, we have a division called the National Organization of Blind Educators, and it's a national organization, so anybody from all over the country can participate, and we have a seminar every year at national convention. I've often spoken for that conference on various topics. But yes, also we have throughout the year, and I guess I'm putting a plug out there, we have several calls throughout the year I think 2 or 3 calls, nationwide calls, where we invite people who are prospective teachers or people who are career switchers or anybody who's new to teaching, um, to learn the tips and tricks and strategies for doing it as a blind person or a visually impaired person with alternative strategies. Yes, I've also mentored people in the past
Mm-hmm.
who, because I'm actually also on the board of the National Organization of Blind Educators as a second VP. So I do get to be in touch with people who contact us on our listserv and or email us and mentor them and be a supportive ear, and someone to bounce off ideas with. And that's actually it's an honor to do that, because to know that there are other people who are blind who are pursuing their goals and dreams and not letting blindness stop them. That's
Mm-hmm.
very humbling to me too as well. So I enjoy doing that. And yes, you know we offer that as a mentoring opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
to talk with people who are on the board or who are experienced teachers who are blind.
What advice would you have for someone?
I would say, and I know this is cliche, but I would say follow your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Follow your dreams. Don't let doubts and negative thoughts stop you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have that drive. That's the initial. If you don't have that drive or that passion to want to do it, um, it's going to be hard to make it happen. So
Yeah.
that's a key, really, really an underlying ingredient, is to have that passion and that desire to want to do teaching or whatever career people would like to be. That
Mm-hmm.
is the key. The second thing is there is always an alternative to doing something. um, you might do something a different way, but the point is to get the end product. You want to be on the same page on equal terms as your sighted counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to really do that is to bulk up on your skills, like your blindness skills, like travel, technology, braille,
Right.
non-visual techniques, to bulk up on those, and also to be, really creative, just thinking outside the box, and, how can I do this? How can I make this work? And, just exploring new ideas. You can't fail if you try. That's
Mm-hmm.
just, you can't fail if
Mm-hmm.
you try. It's, trying different sort of strategies might not work. Strategies might be sometimes unfounded, but the more trial and error you do, you're gonna find the strategy somewhere along the line. So unless you try, you're not gonna get anywhere. So, but even if it doesn't work, you still have to try and try again. And um, I just it's really, really important to know that you got to have that belief in yourself. That's the third
Yeah.
thing, you
Yeah.
know. So you got to have that drive, that desire to be teaching or whatever career you
Mm-hmm.
choose.
Mm-hmm.
Second is to bulk up on your skills and your alternative strategies and be creative, think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I would say is um, believe in yourself. Believe you can.
As far as your teaching goes, how does that help you within the NFB, whether it's being the president of Keystone or on the board of the state affiliate? How does that all help you out?
For one thing, for sure, it's helped me to become more flexible in how I might describe something, or I might give directions or explain something, because sometimes, we as adults, we understand what we're saying because we know the
Mm-hmm.
context or whatever. But for kids, you've got to adjust. You've got to, you know, you can't be in a mindset of, oh, well, this is the way I do it and that's the way you're going to learn. You can't be in that mindset, or you're not going to get very far. But it's really helped me to see how other people think, where they might be coming from, and start where they are. Start
Mm-hmm.
where, and I'm talking with adults, and with my leadership role within the NFB, to really like look at your members and volunteers, and really try to see try to see it from their perspective, and see how you can help them better to help the organization better. So if that makes sense, instead of like telling people what to do, try to see where they are coming from with their ideas or their suggestions, and help them out by helping them to explain it, or helping them to see another possibility for getting something done, or doing a task, or um, completing their what they're trying to strive to accomplish within the organization. So it's really helped me to be more flexible and understanding, and just to really look at things from the other person's perspective and where they're coming from. Because not only are we all at different spots in our life, but we're also at different levels of blindness in our journey. Some people are blind all their life. Some people just recently lost their vision for whatever reason, and some people are just on the outskirts. So that definitely transcends into different areas of my life too, especially within the organization.
Are there any strategies or tips that you could give either other teachers or students who want to be teachers that you use within the classroom? How do you know who's acting out? How do you handle the classroom itself?
A lot of times when kids at that young age, they're very audible. They're not going to be texting silently on their cell phones, or going on Facebook on their phones, because that's like the big problem with middle schoolers and high schoolers right now.
Using their phones.
Yeah, using their phones in the classroom. And in fact, some schools, our school actually recommends that the teachers take the phones in the beginning of the day and give them to the kids at the end of the day for the middle schoolers. But I don't have to worry about that issue. But getting back to you, David, so handling the class. So one of the things that I do is I have the kids say their names when they're raising their hands. So like, let's say, Johnny wants to go to the bathroom. He'll raise his hand and he'll say Johnny while he raises his hand, so that I know that Johnny needs my attention. Right? So he'll say Johnny, and if I want to answer him, I'll acknowledge him. But if I don't want to answer him, I'll wait a little bit. But yeah, no, I'll say Johnny, and then he'll say I have to go to the bathroom. And I'm so, okay. Yeah. So that's for the organization part, that I have them say their names. I also have assigned seats, so I know who's sitting where. I have assigned spots in line. These might not just be blindness, strategies. They're every teacher's strategy type things, but they're also great organization strategies. They also, they're universal. The word universal design that happens not in technology either, but other than, I mentioned about using Braille and technology earlier. So like, I have a Braille watch. I put Braille labels on the kids' books and on their cubbies and on their folders. I do a lot of Braille labeling. I put Braille labels on posters, flashcards, workbooks, you name it. I try to make my classroom as accessible as possible. The other thing is really, really what it comes back down to, what I mentioned in the beginning, is showing them that you're a person. And I tell the kids in the beginning, hey, I'm blind, that's part of me, and I explain what that means. I let them ask their questions, but having good classroom management boils down to really having a good relationship with kids. There are like some kids who still kind of test. They will try because they're kids and they want to learn. This is how they learn, by testing.
Right.
Yeah. But I find if I establish that relationship with my students early and establish it strong, they are more willing and more inclined to respect your rules and follow the classroom procedures. And another thing I also set up is I tell the kids, we are a community. This is a little community within the school community, and we take care of ourselves and we take care of each other in this community. So that's not to say that that's a cure-all for all behaviors, but at least that establishment makes it easier to help kids get back on the right path when they stray, or when they're not having a good good day behaviorally, or they're being challenging, and maybe they're calling kids names, and just not being the best classroom community participant that they can be. So those are just some of the things. And obviously I have all my things in my teacher's materials in Braille or electronic format. I use a cane obviously when I travel. I have assigned jobs for kids. So every week it's a different person. So I'm not gonna say like, who wants to pass out the paper. All the hands go up. Like everybody knows there's a rotation. Oh, and another thing, there's a couple great resources for getting children's books in Braille. Two of them are National Braille Press and Seedlings Braille Books for Children. And those are all like regular published books that you can find at a bookstore, Barnes and Nobles or someplace like that, where you can get a printed copy. But these two companies that I mentioned, they actually put the Braille in the books, in the regularly published books for sighted. So I've been over the years building up my classroom library of children's books. So that's another strategy that I use. So that's why, Braille, I can't even emphasize how much Braille has helped my life, and how important and integral it is to my life. And I don't think I could be as successful without the knowledge of Braille and the ability to read and write in Braille.
Right.
I've got two questions as far as that goes. At your expense, are you buying those books? And
I am, yes.
And they stay with you. So when you leave that school, if you go to a different school, they go with you.
Oh yeah, correct? Yeah. Those are my personal books.
And the same thing goes with the materials. You say you Braille posters and everything else.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those are
all your materials. You're paying for that out of your pocket.
I am. Yeah. Okay. We don't get a lot of reimbursement from the school district. It's it's negligible, compared to what I spend in a year. You know what I mean? So it's a little token what they reimburse us. It's a little token.
Well, Harriet, it was great having you on. We already know you, of course, but it was really nice to just kind of have a walk through a day in the life of Harriet Go as a teacher. So thank you for sharing all of your ups, your downs, your bumps, and your fits and starts. But it sounds like you would not have it any other way. Like, sounds like teaching is sort of in your blood.
It is.
Yeah, and you're one that never gives up. So you're a great role model yourself. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. And thanks, David, too. Thanks to the both of you. It was really fun.
Don't go, because we do want you to be part of the conversation about Believe You Can 2022.
Yes.
So how do you feel about this? This is our third year. Are you excited?
Yes, I am so super excited. I feel like, this is the year we're really trying to do new things better and bigger. We're trying to use a different option for taking ticket purchases. We are using a Google form for talent sheet intakes, and we're reaching out to people for potential sponsors. Something we haven't done
that's a big one.
In the past 2 years. And I feel like in just 3 years, by the third year, we're able to do more things and to try new things, because we kind of have a foundation set. And some of the stuff is like kind of routine. Okay, we know we had to call for performers, we know we have to call for ticket buyers, we know we have to update the web page, so some things are kind of like routine now. So with that said, we are able to take on and add on to the behind the scenes effort to make this show better and better every year.
Yeah, as Lisa put it, I think Lisa said it best at one of our meetings. We're really building a brand with it, and folks around the country are knowing about it, learning about it, and want to be on.
It's a great sign that people they're getting to know us. Performers are seeing us. They're every year they're revving up and they're like, oh, I want to be on this next year.
So this year it is Saturday, October 15th. Tickets we did not go up this year. Tickets are the same as last year, $10 individual and $25 for a watch party, which is for 4 or more people.
You can easily buy tickets by going to believeyoucan.live/tickets, or just go to believeyoucan.live and you can scroll down a little. You'll see them right there on the main page of the website, and you can learn more about the event at believeyoucan.live. We're really looking forward to it this year, and just so exciting. As you guys said, we're just growing every little step we take every year. It's just getting bigger and bigger, and I'm really excited for it. Right smack dab in the middle of Blind Equality Achievement Month. Just very exciting to be part of it.
Yeah, and any performers out there, if you have any questions about the show, how to submit your form, anything at all on that level of the performers, we have a separate email for that, and that is lisa.believeyoucan@gmail.com.
And again, I'll put all this information in the show notes. If you're interested in performing, you can go to believeyoucan.live/talent, and that'll take you to the Google form that Harriet and Lisa spoke about. You can fill that out, submit that, and Lisa will get back to you with all the particulars and set up your sound check and get you going.
Whether you want to be a ticket purchaser to support the Keystone chapter and our efforts to help make equality happen for people who are blind, whether you want to be a ticket supporter or a performer, we can't wait to see you at the show.
While we're talking about upcoming events, Greater Lehigh Valley is also having something in October. On the 7th of October at 6 p.m., they are doing Dancing in the Dark to Be in the Light, and that's going to be at the Historic Hotel Bethlehem in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Tickets are $75. I'll put all the contact information in the show notes. If you have any questions, there'll be a phone number you can contact. Her name is Jemmie, and she'll give you all the particulars, and payment can be done for them via Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle. And again, you'll contact Jemmie for more information there, but that'll be in the show notes as well, both events. So a lot of good things coming up within the affiliate, and that's putting a call out to all the affiliates and divisions within the state. If you've got something coming up, a fundraising event, please reach out to us and let us know about it so we can publicize it so you get a little bit more traction. We've got a phone number you can call, 267-338-4495. You've got up to 3 minutes. You could leave us your name, your town where you're calling from, as well as the event, any kind of particulars you want us to know, and we'll play it on an upcoming episode. Again, 267-338-4495.
Yeah, and if you prefer to email us, you can always do that as well. Our address is whitecanesconnect@gmail.com.
Lisa, it was a lot of fun talking with our buddy. And
yes.
Harriet, thank you again for being on. It was great having you on.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for doing this, and we'll see everybody at Believe You Can.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.